Hi, everyone. It's great to be back teaching. I hope you're all there. Anyway, I'm going to do a quick little 15-minute presentation on dystocia and lambing problems. I feel like I'm kind of talking a lot about lambing again, but I found some really good videos. You guys will see that in the modules. And anyway, so I just thought I really wanted to go through this one because it might happen. You might need this information. So let's talk about a problem that can happen when ewes are nearing the end of their pregnancy, and that is called pregnancy toxemia or pregnancy ketosis. So you're going to need to remember a few things. So I think it's going to be on a quiz one of these days. So usually ewes that have pregnancy toxemia are carrying multiple babies, usually more than twins. They're extremely fat, like backyard pet sheep, or there's some break in their routine during the end stages of gestation. So during the end stages of gestation, remember, a ewe is in a negative caloric balance. She can't eat enough to maintain her energy demand for that growing baby inside of her. So when somebody overdoses her with grain or they forget to feed her grain, her body has to start basically uh, changing her fat into nutrition so that she can stay alive. And that is what puts her in a state of ketosis. So ewes that are ketotic or they have preg tox, a lot of times they won't get up. They act like they're drunk. They're staggering around. They don't want to eat and they're weak. So if you ever see that in a late stage ewe, you can bet it's pregnancy toxemia. It is not that uncommon, especially in the kind of sheep that you would be dealing with as an ag teacher, maybe backyard, kids that have one ewe or something like that. So here's some more information about pregnancy toxemia. This is not a very good slide because it's blurry, but the big thing that I wanted you to understand about pregnancy toxemia, I think my face is taking up part of it, is remember we talked about the trimesters of growth, and we said during that last trimester, look what's happening to the weight of the fetus, which is spelled Britishly. But that baby lamb is just growing dramatically, and this is where pregnancy toxemia happens, is this late end, 2 weeks or a week before they're going to lamb. So that is an indicator when you have a ewe that goes off feed or she's not hungry. Here's another thing that contributes to pregnancy toxemia. I thought it was really interesting. It's a great picture. So in the 12th week of pregnancy, which that would be, whatever, 4 weeks per month. So this would be about 3 months. The stomach can fill with no problem because the baby is really tiny. But you can imagine a ewe that's carrying twins or triplets, the baby size, the fetal size, starts pushing on the stomach and is pushing so much that the ewe again can't fill her rumen up with food because it's compromised in its capacity because there's too many babies in there. So it reduces the amount of food she can consume. And that is a reason for preg tox also. So this is, what do you know? If you've never seen a sheep with pregnancy toxemia, I mean, it looks like a downed ewe. So she's down, she's huge, she's a huge belly. She doesn't want to stand up. She's super lethargic. She's not pushing. She's not trying to have a baby. And if you have her actual due date, she'll be, a couple weeks or a week before lambing. So what do you do? Well, it looks like I don't have all my PowerPoint slide didn't fit on this. But what do you do? Well, one of the things we can do is we can give her B12, a shot that will stimulate her appetite. That would be something you may or may not have on hand. You can give her Probios. Remember, that's a rumen stimulator to get her stomach bacteria up and running. A lot of times you can tempt her with things that sheep like. And I know from my experience that sheep will sometimes they'll nibble at fresh grass, the really nice green stuff. If you know what a mulberry tree is, they will eat mulberry leaves. They love them. And that is get any kind of food into her. Your favorite flowers, like your roses, that will usually get her stomach going. We just got to get some food in there to get her going. And then the other thing is sometimes we'll give her propylene glycol. And that is basically it tells her liver to kick in the remainder of her energy. But you have to do something. Otherwise, she's going to die, and she's got all of her babies inside of her. Sometimes, this bottom one right here says, sometimes we'll take the ewes. In serious cases, they will take the lambs early by C-section. But that doesn't work very good because early premature lambs don't have a very good survival rate. Okay, so let's talk about dystocia real quick. We talked about this a little bit in class already, but I want to include one kind of more separate, unique thing. So dystocia is a term for difficulty in lambing. There's a lot of different reasons why ewes have dystocia. And the one video that I included, the lambing with Stacy or whatever that little video is, this is the long one. She has some good examples of dystocia in there. Very, very good. So reasons: lamb's too big, it's not positioned properly, you have two babies, or oh God, heaven forbid, you got three all trying to be born at the same time. And then the one I wanted to spend a little bit of time on is this idea of ringworm. Not to be confused with ringworm, not the same thing. Ringworm is when the cervix won't dilate, so the babies can't get out. So here's a normal presentation. I think we've talked about this a little bit, but I thought this was a good graphic, a good picture. So what happens as the uterus starts to contract, it pushes the baby forward, and the baby is in this diving position. And this is the cervix right here. So this is the uterus, this is the cervix, and it's closed. And this is the vagina or the birth canal. And so as the lamb starts to push, as the uterus starts to contract, the little feet of the lamb actually serve as like a little pry, like a wedge. And that starts to push the cervix open. So we get those feet in that birth canal, and that causes the cervix to actually start to dilate. And I'm going to tell you something really important, and this picture is a good one to show you. So see this area of the cervix, that's where the sensors are on the inside of the cervix. So when the baby's feet touch here, that's what causes that cervix to go from tiny until big and then bigger, so you can fit the whole lamb through here. So when the ewe has ringworm, something is making it so that cervix doesn't want to dilate. Okay, so here's what happens sometimes when you have dystocia, and I'll give you an example of why you have ringworm. So obviously you can see this one a little bit distorted. My slide's a little distorted. They look a little pointy. You have two babies being born at the same time. This one, is very hard to push something back, but you're going to have to kind of do that. But they're both in the proper position. But you would see, because you would have 4 feet. And you're going to always remember, I told you this before, but just a heads up, if it's front feet, what do you have right here? Do you remember? You have the dew claws. So you know that you have 4 front feet. No sheep has 4 front feet. It can't be born any other way. You got 2 babies trying to be born at the same time. Okay, that one might be something that you say, oh my God, I got to call somebody to help me. I totally understand, and always do that. Don't think that you have to be the hero. In this situation right here, this is where you're going to have ringworm. Do you see where my pointer is? Because what happens? There's no feet to cause the cervix to dilate. All you have is a big butt right in the way. You got the big rear end right here, and it is not going to cause the cervix to dilate. So that is typical of the ringworm situation, because you do not have those front feet to pry open that cervix. So this is where you would have to manually dilate the cervix. So you put your hand in here. If the cervix is a little tiny, it can be like, it's tight like a rubber band is what it feels like. And you just put your finger through there, and you can massage the inside lining of the cervix, and that can make you dilate enough so you can get your hand in there, and then you feel this big wall right here. I've done it a couple times, and I saved you. So it is not impossible to do. And shoot, I don't consider myself an expert, but if I can do it, you guys can do it. So you're going to feel that big wall of a butt here, and you're going to know what that is, and you're going to try to reach around and grab these back feet. You can grab those back feet, get them pulled this way, you can get that lamb out. You just got to get a hold of those feet. It's a little harder said than done. You're not going to be able to turn this lamb around. Remember that. That's a quiz question. So you've got to manually dilate the cervix, you've got to find those feet, got to pull it out. So the lamb would be born, breech. Okay, this one, obviously, this lamb can be born this way. Okay, you can pull it out with 1 foot. It's going to slide right out. Not a problem. It will come out with just 1 foot in the head. This one's more of a problem. I've never seen this before. So you could actually turn the lamb around. It's more like a problem if you have twins born. This is a bad one right here. This is very bad. I've had ewes die with this problem. So this is a lot of times a problem of a huge lamb. So it's so big that the head and the front feet can't both fit in the birth canal. And so that is a problem. So you can reach in there and try to get that head. And this is sometimes where a snare helps, where you can get a hold of the foot and then you can put a snare over its head and bring its head around. Sometimes its head's back because it's so big. The other reason why the head's back is because it's dead. So it doesn't have, that normal wedgie effect of the lamb wedging its way out isn't working because the lamb's really floppy because it's dead. So that's a classic thing where you feel them and they're dead. And you just reach in here and all you feel is legs. All I feel is legs. Where's his head? Where's his head? Oh my God, his head's way back here. You can feel it. You can put your arm in that far. I mean, your arm is going to be all the way up to your shoulder. So this is a bad one because sometimes the lamb's dead. This is going to be the ring womb. This can be born. This one has to be turned around. And this is a big problem over here. Okay, only got about 4 minutes left. Let's see what else we got here. So, I know this one thing, Dr. Warner told me this a long time ago. He's a very, very good sheep vet, and he actually teaches some of the vet tech classes. You guys might know him. Anyway, what happens is when you are trying to pull a lamb, you have to have you have to know your basic anatomy. So the lamb's trying to be born, and so we like diving out. You're going to feel those little dew claws right there. In that way, it's a front position. If it's being born backwards, the dew claws are going to be up. Think about it. When it's born forward, it's diving out just like this. The dew claws are down, facing the ground. If it's born breech, then the dew claws are going to be up. Let's see if I can show you. See, like this, the dew claws would be up, right? Okay. Well, I hope you learned that. Okay, moving on. So assisting with lambing, make sure that you remember the anatomy of the lamb, where its head is, because it's dark and tight in there. You can't see in there, no matter how hard you look. Can't see anything. And it's all by feel. And you need to make a plan. And the plan is you try for a little bit. Remember, the safest place for a lamb to be is inside its mother. So you have a little bit of time. Get a friend over to help you. Call somebody who knows more than you. Don't try to be the hero because the lambs will be dead. And then remember that it's always good to wash your hands, have clean fingernails, use a glove, and by doing that, oftentimes you prevent infection or retain placentas and things that cause problems. So remember what I said, here's that ring womb where the cervix does not dilate. And so the cervix is right there like I showed you. The sensors to make the cervix dilate are inside. So if you put your hand in here and you feel a tiny, tiny bit of opening, like your finger, like your finger can barely fit through there. And the ewe is laying down and struggling and pushing and pushing and pushing. But you don't see the water bag come out. You don't see any fluids. You don't see anything. Then you have to go in there and investigate. Don't think it's going to go away. It's not. The ewe will die unless you help her. So you can manually dilate that cervix, and then sometimes you can get that little foot or turn it around if it's a breech presentation. So a lot of times my experience with ring womb is there'll be a dead lamb in there and it'll be just pushed up against the wall of the cervix, like its side is pushed here, like a little tiny dead one. And it just blocks the whole progress. But the ewe is pushing, she's laying on her side and pushing, but nothing, no progress. Because after she's pushing for 20 minutes, you ought to see something. You got to see something when she's pushing really hard, but you see nothing. So then you go in and you feel that the cervix is only a tiny bit dilated. That's when you know you got this problem. And so you either try to dilate it manually, do what you can, call your friend, call a vet, but that is a situation where if the babies can't get out, the ewe is going to die. And that is a needless loss if you can manually dilate the cervix. Remember, that's all your money for the whole year. Okay, I only have about 40 seconds left. Okay, here's some questions for you. Make sure you review these because these are going to be on your quiz. Alrighty, I'm going to stop and say goodbye. I'll look forward to talking to you more.